If I had applied this law, I would have corrupted my soul. I was this close to it. In this video you will thoroughly understand the 15th law of the 48 laws of power. You'll get a great but bloody and murderous account of an empress that did horrendous acts. Guys, I get the chills just thinking of it. You also observe this law in the movie. I have many observations we can choose from. For now, let's go, and some more will be shown in the future. John Wick.
We are cursed, you and I. Baba Yaga. It was just a fucking car, just a fucking dog. And your son took that from me. Stole that from me. Killed that from me! So you can either hand over your son, or you can die screaming alongside him!
Brace yourself, guys, because this one is value-packed and chilling, to say the least. Alright guys, before we move on, this video is sponsored by Shortform. More on that later. I brought my own car for a revision and got this new Porsche Carrera 911 2024. So I'll also show you during that sponsorship how this car sounds, how it drives, and it's gonna be an exciting one. But before we do that, it is time for Laws of Power, Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. Sometimes they have learned this the hard way. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. The enemy will recover and will seek revenge. Crush him, not only in body, but in spirit. Keys to power. Crush the enemy is a key strategic tenet of Sun-tzu, author of The Art of War. Your enemies harbor ill intentions, and any mercy or partial measure only makes them embittered and more determined to take you down. Even if they act friendly for now, it is just a facade. They are waiting for you to slip up. They can use the surrender tactic, bide their time, and someday they will come and crush you. If you remember the Game of Thrones observance from Law 22, this is exactly what happened. Cersei's life was spared.
What will we find when we strip away your finery?
Let me go immediately.
You will order her to let me go. I am the queen! I am the queen! Have you lost your mind?
Cersei even threatened his nun that she would kill her eventually.
Look at me!
Look at my face. It's the last thing you'll see before you die.
As the story unfolded, she got released after strategically using Law 22.
I want to be clean again. I want absolution.
She confessed about some of her crimes and then she got brutally humiliated.
She has confessed her sins and begged for forgiveness, naked before the eyes of gods and men, to make her walk of atonement.
Shame.
Her enemies did not kill her, which proved to be a fatal mistake. Guess what? She abided her time.
If someone is planning on making our losses their gains, I want to hear it.
Strengthened and plotted her revenge until finally, she totally annihilated all of her enemies in one fell swoop. Oh, and the nun? She got her fair share of revenge afterwards. It is a great application of Law 15 and Law 22. Robert Greene writes, "This is the fate that faces all of us when we sympathize with our enemies, when pity or the hope of reconciliation makes us pull back from doing away with them. We only strengthen their fear and hatred of us. We have beaten them and they are humiliated, yet we nurture these resentful vipers who will one day kill us. Power cannot be dealt with this way. It must be exterminated, crushed, and denied the chance to return to haunt us." There is a brutal observation of the law coming up from Chinese history of a mother and her child that gave me the chills, guys. But before we go there, understand that this law is not only applicable on the battlefield. Somebody at work might try to get rid of you, as has been the case in my personal life. You cannot show mercy if that is their motive. On the one hand, you need to catch their mistakes and bring it to light and show a pattern that erupts or take away their influence in one way or another. Find out what the actual source of their power is and crush that conveniently. At the same time, with the other hand, go further and beyond by making yourself indispensable to the company. In this way, with them in the middle, if they act out, you perform a pincer move that crushes their spirit. And very important, find a way to withhold them from getting to a position that gets them to dictate your way of functioning at work. Do not negotiate with them, as you've seen what the consequences can be. Leave them no hope nor space to maneuver. Once they are crushed, that is the end of it. Going on the offense feels great if you're anything like me. Crushing the enemy, coming out victoriously. Who doesn't want that? But be very careful though. There is a personal story I haven't told many people, but realize I was one decision, one phone call away from corrupting my soul. All I wanted was to annihilate someone's business, and I had the opportunity to do so with one phone call. If I followed this law, I would not be the person I am today. The lesson for you should be simple. Don't just think victory or defeat like I did. Think about something that's more important, and that is what kind of person you want to be. Now listen very carefully, do not use this as a cop-out. As a man who's striving for excellence, you need to be capable of destruction and mayhem, and only then make the right and ethically sound decision. As discussed in the power intro video, you are not virtuous if you turn the other cheek, if that is all that you can do. But if you're capable of destruction, mayhem, annihilation, and choose not to, and that is being virtuous, guys. Before I move to the chilling, cold observance of the law, you have to understand and accept the following brutal truth. As you get to higher positions in life, you'll create more and more rivals and enemies. Your success is a spotlight shining down on their missed opportunities. Waiting for them to reveal their intentions is simply foolish. Here you have three options. 1. Try turning them into friends, as explained by Law 2. Second, neutralize them by acknowledging they played a part in your success. 3. If all doesn't work, crush them. But how, you might wonder? Weaken their influence and permanently send them away from your circle. Banishing them ensures they cannot recover, infiltrate, and harm you. If banishment isn't possible, be aware they're plotting against you. Disregard any feigned friendliness, they're not to be trusted. In such situations, your best weapon is your own caution. So, if immediate banishment isn't feasible, strategically plan for the next time to take action. Guys, with these types of people, you cannot go halfway. So be realistic and realize with an enemy like that around, you will never be secure. Remember the lesson of Sun-tzu and also the brutal lesson coming your way from ancient Chinese history. But before I tell you that cruel, unethical and chilling real-life story, let's go to the chilling, cold observance of the law is next. Right after that, there is gonna be an observance of the law in John Wick, which you've been asking about for a long time. After that, we're gonna close it off with the reversal of the law, which is gonna be explored through a scene of the series Lupin. But before I go there, a quick but important note, guys. Despite having 235,000 subscribers, this is my first accepted sponsorship. I've declined a boatload of money from sponsorship offers for one reason: integrity. I only partner with companies that have potential to bring genuine value to your life, which either I or a close relative has tested for me. Shortform is one of such company, and as a busy individual striving for excellence, I want to squeeze out every bit of my time. Here are 3 ways that I use shortform in my day-to-day life. First, making a decision before buying a book. I finish the books that I start, so I am very selective in the books that I pick. I read the short-form summary and then decide whether or not I'll buy it. Second, when I'm in between meetings or sometimes in between patients, I open the app and read. The third one is the most used for me. Okay guys, before I show you the way that I use short form in my own car, let's do one more test in this car, guys. Let me share this beautiful experience with you. I love the growling noise, guys. Alright guys, I just picked up my car again. What is the way that I use short form the most? Here's the beauty of short form. You can actually have the text played to you, and it's in a very natural sounding way. Just listen to the introduction of Law 15.
History is replete with examples of leaders who defeated their enemies, but left them alive out of mercy. Of course, the opponent always bided his time, becoming ever more resentful and determined, until he was strong enough to seek revenge.
Guys, there are many genres to choose from, like business, communication, and of course a crucially important one, productivity. Shortform drops new book guides and articles every week, and you, as a subscriber, get to vote on what books they cover. To get a 5-day free trial, join Shortform through my special link, shortform.com/Shayan. That is shortform.com/SHAYAN. Or you can also click the link in the description or the pinned comment. You will receive a free trial and an additional 20% discounted annual subscription. That saves you $132 per year. Invest in the things that matter, guys. $13 a month, that is less than 43 cents a day. You can't put a price on knowledge, guys. Shortform.com/Shayan. Observance of the law. Wu Chao, born in the year 625, found herself in a risky spot as part of Emperor Tsung's harem. The imperial harem was a tricky place with young women competing to be the emperor's favorite. Wu won and became the favorite. However, Wu knew that the emperor's whims could replace her anytime. She kept an eye on the future. How could she ensure that she would stay in power if anything happened to the emperor? Wu cleverly got close to the emperor's son, Cao Tsung, catching him off guard near a royal urinal and seduced him.
Who are you to refuse a king? I will have power.
When the emperor passed away, tradition required Wu to live in an excluded religious community, a fate also imposed on other wives and concubines. She spent 7 years, 7 entire years scheming to break free. Here's what she did. She communicated in secret with the new emperor and befriended the empress. This earned her an unusual royal edict to return to the palace and the harem. Back in the palace, Wu played a dangerous game, flattering the empress while still sleeping with the emperor. The empress didn't object for 2 reasons. First, she needed to produce an heir, which she couldn't so far. Second, she was in a very vulnerable position, and she needed allies. Eventually, Wu got pregnant, but here comes the brutal climax of her cunning nature, guys. How could she now, having the emperor's child, secure her position? The following gave me the chills, guys. Here's what she did. One day, after the empress visited her, as the empress left, Wu deliberately, killed her own newborn, blaming the murder on the empress, who was known for her jealousy. The empress was swiftly accused of murder and subsequently executed. With the empress out of the picture, Wu was crowned the new empress. However, Wu's rule was far from secure. Constantly on guard, she eliminated threats mercilessly. Empress Wu, fearing potential threats to her rule, orchestrated even the murder of her niece and own son to eliminate perceived rivals and solidify her grip on her power. She continuously manipulated her way through palace coups, ensuring her dominance. In 690, she declared herself a divine descendant of Buddha and became the holy and divine emperor of China. Her reign lasted over 4 decades, marked by brutality and calculated moves.
Don't go anywhere.
In 705, at the age of 80, she was forced to step down. Interpretation. Empress Wu, born in 625, was a woman of incredible energy and intelligence. In her time, ambitious women faced limited options. In a male-dominated world, Wu had to be even more ruthless to secure her place, starting with her rise to power as a concubine of the emperor. She smothered her own child to cast suspicion on another concubine. So, that woman was executed. She poisoned a niece and a son and had another son exiled. She had another son declared unfit to serve when the emperor died, leaving only her youngest son, whom she controlled, to become emperor.
To show your intentions. Better, surely.
Every time there was a coup attempt, guys, she had everybody executed. Her bloody rise to power was marked by cunning and a ruthless nature, allowing her to hold the reins of China for 4 decades. As you see, guys, people can be consumed by power to the extent that they lose themselves totally. I've come close to this twice in my life. You don't want to corrupt your soul, guys. Empress Wu understood the harsh reality in her domain. Any sign of weakness could lead to her downfall. So, she successfully resorted to crushing her enemies totally. Reversal of the law. Let me illustrate 2 examples of when not to use this law. Before I show you what the 2 instances are when not to use this law, the observance of the law, the defiance of the law is gonna be shown in John Wick. But before we go there, make sure to hit the like button. It helps this channel and this video a lot. The second thing I would really appreciate if you could do it for me, and for the growth of this channel, is leave a comment with this emoji here. It is time to go to the Vigo, the Russian crime lord in John Wick, has a son.
How much for the car?
She's not for sale.
Oh, I love dogs. Лупсиву сука яйцвейцена.
А в этой сука нету.
After this scene, the son gets angry and enters John's house in the evening.
Где ёбаные ключи, тачки? Нету ёбаную собаку! Спи спокойно.
Vigo is livid when his son Iosef commits a grave mistake by stealing John's car and killing his dog. This is how he explains who John Wick really is.
We called him Baba Yaga, boogeyman. Well, John wasn't exactly the boogeyman. He was the one you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman. John is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. Something you know very little about. And then my son, a few days after his wife died, you steal his car and kill his fucking dog. John will come for you, cause you can do nothing. So get the fuck out of my sight.
Vigo tries to settle the matter and calls John in order to not incur the full wrath of the legendary hitman.
I heard about your wife. I'm sorry. My condolences. Let us not resort to our baser instincts and handle this like civilized men to move on.
John refuses. John Wick has a monomaniacal focus to kill Vigo's son to take revenge for killing his dog.
When Ellen died, I lost everything. Until that dog arrived on my doorstep. A final gift from my wife. In that moment, I received some semblance of hope.
Sorry I can't be there for you. But you still need something, someone to love. So start with this.
And your son took that from me. Stole that from me. Killed that from me!
He unleashes his unbridled fury. Great action, but what matters for this law is the following scene.
Yeah. We are cursed, you and I. Baba Yaga. It was just a fucking car, just a fucking dog.
Vigo catches John Wick and has him tied to a chair. John still holds strong and says,
So you can either hand over your son, or you can die screaming alongside him!
Interpretation. Going with this fictional example, if Vigo was smart, he would have pulled the trigger himself and made damn sure that John would be dead. He didn't. John got saved, escaped, and brought the full wrath of his fury on Vigo and his empire. John in the end killed Vigo's son. After that, he killed Vigo himself, just like he warned him before.
So you can either hand over your son, or you can die screaming alongside him!
It was here, guys, where it could have been all avoided had Vigo totally crushed his enemy. Reversal of the law. Let me illustrate 2 examples of when not to use this law. In Lupin, there is a compelling example of this guy takes drastic measures to discipline someone who failed a crucial task. Instead of completely eliminating this individual, he merely weakens him, leading to betrayal.
Non seulement t'as pas réussi à les buter, mais en plus à cause de toi, Mariama s'est échappée. Le mec qui m'a poussé, il s'appelle Keller. Jean-Luc Keller.
The lesson here is clear. If you decide to take decisive action, ensure that you fully incapacitate your adversary. Avoid leaving any openings for them to retaliate. So the first one, don't use it when there is a low probability of a successful implementation. Second, there are instances where it's wiser to let your enemies ruin themselves rather than causing their suffering directly. If you've pushed someone to the brink and are confident they cannot bounce back, allowing them to bring about their own downfall can be a strategic move. This way, the outcome remains the same, but you avoided the emotional burden of being directly responsible for their demise. So, strategic withdrawal, allowing enemies to self-destruct. Robert Greene writes, it is almost always wiser to crush your enemy. If they plot revenge years later, do not let your guard down, but simply crush them again. Check out the movie White Tiger for numerous examples of the 48 laws of power, and interested in a test yourself power video where I show scenes and you guess the applied laws.
Would I really murder our own sister?
And a special thanks to Zed from the 48 Laws of Power subreddit. Click here for the 48 Laws of Power playlist and click here for the most recent video on this channel. As always, keep striving for excellence.